Hello and welcome to today's webcast. Our subject today is the art of Websphere message broker deployments. My name is Helen Beale. I'm the Head of Sales and Marketing here at MidVision, and today I'm joined by Andy.
Hi, good afternoon everybody. I'm the lead architect for the Websphere message broker plugins here at MidVision.
And today's session will be about 45 minutes long. We're going to cover a number of things on the agenda. We're going to start by talking a little bit about why people do deployment automation, what the benefits are to implementing a solution in this area. Then Andy is going to talk to you a bit more about the specific challenges and insights that we've learned from working with customers that use these technologies. And then he's going to talk you through the architecture of our RapidDeploy application release automation solution, and specifically the Websphere message broker plugin that we have. Andy's also then prepared a demonstration for you, and then we'll have a quick chat with you about what to do next if this sounds like something you'd like to do yourselves. So first of all, why do people implement application release automation solutions? What we see in the market today is a maturity scale with right at the bottom people doing everything manually, and then the next step up we see people that have started to write scripts. Some people we know have written lots and lots of scripts, and some people have even written tools that wrap around those scripts that enable them to have things like a graphical user interface or provide self-service or perhaps integration to some of the other tooling that they use in their development or operations environments. And then right at the top of the maturity scale we see the application release automation solutions from the vendors. And the reason we say they're at the top of the maturity scale is because we have lots and lots of customers that input their requirements into our product development roadmap, and we additionally handle all of the ongoing maintenance. So though we often meet customers that feel that they've made a lot of investment in their own scripts or their own tooling, they often find that they want to buy a vendor tool because they know they can then not worry about the ongoing support and maintenance, and they can benefit from the additional developments that we will make and put into the tool. The top level reasons why people buy application release automation solutions or how they build a business case, usually the first one is either around productivity or compliance. And this next slide here, this is from a report by Hurwitz, the industry analyst, showing the average improvements in ROI that people are seeing by using these types of solutions. So it's very important to get software to market very quickly. I think most businesses today are under increasing pressure to deliver change and innovation to their customers. Most people need to do more with software releases and do more faster. And one of the things, or one of the problems with scripts is they're often quite error prone, and it's often quite difficult to figure out what went wrong, particularly if there's been some unauthorized change. And Andy will show you later in his demonstration on how we handle some of that. This next slide is similar, but it's telling you the key reasons that people made these investments in the first place, so the triggers that they had that helped them sign off their business cases. And the trigger point is important because what we see often with our customers is they rarely actually buy an IT automation project standalone. There's normally some other project or compelling event that's driving the requirement for a release automation tool, something like creating a PaaS, perhaps doing a re-architecture of an environment or moving platforms, moving off premium products sometimes onto one of the open source tools like JBoss or Tomcat. And another big one is a middleware upgrade project, and that's where we're focusing today with this Websphere message broker call. So over to Andy to talk about some of the insights and challenges we've learned about specifically with Websphere message broker.
Okay, so this particular slide, what are the insights and challenges that many of our customers that use message broker sort of face as we've seen? So many organisations out there still deploy manually. This is obviously prone to errors throughout the route to live, and can be extremely time consuming. So with RapidDeploy, you can have a totally automated solution. It's pretty much self-documenting the entire process, and then that's reducing the application time to market. I've worked with many customers implementing deployments, automating deployments. In one particular case, using RapidDeploy, we reduced their deployment time from 2 days to 30 minutes. Then we've got composite deployment. So what you tend to see, especially with Websphere message broker technologies, is you've got one person doing the broker bit, another person doing the MQ bit, another person maybe doing the database bit, maybe somebody else doing the files. It's very disparate. So RapidDeploy, it's not just about message broker, okay? Yes, we've got a message broker plugin, but there's a multitude of out-of-the-box orchestration tasks that you can use to make up one deployment. So we've got WMQ deployment tasks in there. You might want to be copying files as part of your deployment, or even running pre-written scripts that you've created already and you want to make use of. Right? It's all possible. Okay, then obviously we've got the upgrading challenges. There's always changes between versions, and along with some of that comes different migration paths that you can follow. Binary install processes change, the config manager proxy APIs change. You can use RapidDeploy to aid your migration, whichever migration path you wish to take. Whether that's using the out-of-the-box MQSI migrate commands, or creating and deploying new message brokers on the same infrastructure, or even creating and deploying to new message brokers on new infrastructure. Right? So RapidDeploy doesn't dictate the way you have to do your migration, but it can support you in whatever path or combination of paths you wish to take. And here at MidVision, we are obviously heavily involved in the beta testing of Websphere message broker new releases as they come forward, and we always aim to release a new technology plugin within 2 quarters of an IBM release. Okay, so we've got if you're new to message broker, it's a very different skill set required for deployments to many other technologies compared to the skill set that's required for message broker. But if you use RD, you've got a standard way of deploying to whatever technologies you've got. So it's less of a learning curve if you've already got RapidDeploy, or if you intend to use RapidDeploy for other capabilities in the future, then obviously that's going to speed up the learning curve. Okay, so we've got builds as well. Customers tend to use a variety of different tools to create their bars. The toolkit is still generally a favorite out there. People use Ant, other customers use Maven and Jenkins, etc. Now, within RapidDeploy, you've got the ability to have plugins to many of these. So organizations can make use of the existing methods and practices that they already have in place. At the moment, we've got a target release date. We're hoping for Q3 this year for our own WMB build plugin. So, okay, on to the RapidDeploy architecture slide. So RapidDeploy has a core application framework sitting right there in the middle, the orange box, which provides a number of key features. Things like user and group access. Okay, so we've got things like role-based privileges for performing certain actions and accessing certain environments. So, for example, only allowing certain groups of users to deploy to production. The core framework obviously gives the ability to perform deployments. It provides a full audit of all the actions of every single user, what they're doing within the tooling. It provides a mechanism for performing snapshots of a variety of different technologies, so not just message broker, but I will be showing you the message broker snapshotting facility in the demo later. And obviously it has the ability to integrate with all those plugins around it. And one of the things I want to stress here is that the plugins are ever evolving. Okay, we're constantly releasing new plugins. Okay, so RapidDeploy capabilities. We've spoken about the core framework, but now if we look at the plugins themselves, there's 5 main categories detailed here. And as I've said, these are ever expanding and evolving. All plugins come with their own library of commonly used tasks, okay, and wizards for creating things like the environment. And you'll see some of that. I'm not focusing too much on that in the demo, but you will see some of that in the demo later on. So we've got the transport plugin. This gives RapidDeploy the ability to use different protocols, SSH and the RD agent. We've got the target plugin, so the ability to configure the logical representation of our deployment targets. This could be a physical host, it could be a queue manager or a message broker or a WAS cell, a JBoss application server, or even a script. We've got the toolchain plugins. This is our way of interacting with enterprise applications such as source code management systems, ClearCase, SVN, RTC, or indeed build engines, Jenkins, Maven, Cruise Control, or artifact repositories, like Maven. Then we've got the cloud plugins. These effectively extend our capability to be able to connect to cloud-based providers. So we've got exploiting AWS, the Amazon Web Service, and Chef. And then we've got business intelligence plugins. So these provide things like reporting capabilities, environment visualization, and some sort of enhanced comparison functionality. So we've got things like Beyond Compare and Jasper reporting. Okay, so the next slide, the DevOps toolchain. So DevOps is a big buzzword out there at the moment. Essentially, it refers to a collaborative culture between sort of development and operational teams. So application release automation is effectively straddling the gap between the development and operation teams. It's about aligning goals, improving efficiency, and improving the quality of code that's actually shipped. So this in turn allows businesses to innovate quickly and to deliver to market more rapidly. So typical organizations have many of the things that you can see on the slide here. A developer checks their code into some sort of SCM tool, whether that's some sort of SCM tool, whether that's SVN or ClearCase or RTC. They potentially have some sort of build engine to compile their code. That could be RTC or Jenkins or even Cruise Control. Then they've got developers, testers, and administrators configure and install their target runtimes. And then you've got a release engineer who creates releases and publishes those to the various environments with any dependencies. So RapidDeploy, with its plugin-based architecture, can slot into an organization as the application release automation product and talk to the source code management systems and the build solutions that an organization already has in place. Then the release engineer can use RapidDeploy to schedule and deploy those releases throughout the route to live. As well as the Websphere Message Broker plugin, we also support most of the Websphere stack. And as you can see there, JBoss, Oracle, WebLogic, Tomcat, and .NET. Okay. Software manufacturing pipeline. So with continuous delivery, we're effectively aiming to create a manufacturing production line, ideally a one-click deployment process. With Websphere Message Broker environments, we create a continuous integration loop of developments which ultimately feed into staging and then production environments. We've got the development iterations produce candidate releases, okay, so some of which will progress beyond the unit testing into the QA environments. Subsequently, some of those, will go on to staging and then into production. So within RapidDeploy, you build up your consistent, repeatable, and proven process to create and deploy your final product into production. Okay, so then we've got the slide on the WMB plugin itself. So this is the last slide before we move on to talk about the demo and what's coming up in the demo. The Websphere Message Broker plugin, like all of our plugins, it's a Java-based solution. It supports things like the install of binaries as well as the patch and uninstall of binaries. It obviously supports Websphere Message Broker deployments in a variety of different modes. We've got a recreate mode, a clear down mode, and an append mode. And we also have various WMB manage operations, okay, by which I mean things like the creation of brokers themselves, okay. So you can also use RapidDeploy to snapshot an environment, and then you can model that into like a golden configuration. And once you've created and modeled that environment, then you can then clone it using the tool. So the golden configuration and the common artifacts are version agnostic. Okay, so excuse me. This this is effectively things like your configurable services, your HTTP properties, and your bar overrides. Okay, typically things like data source names, commit counts, URLs, that sort of thing. And our ethos, as we've got on this slide, is build once, deploy anywhere. Okay, so let's move on to the next slide and what we're going to show you today. So pre-built for today's environment, we've got a RapidDeploy running just on a Windows server, and it's deploying out to a Linux VM target which has already got MQ installed. I've actually pre-configured two projects within RapidDeploy, a Websphere message broker binary project and a create and deploy project as well. You wouldn't normally have a create and deploy project within the same project, but this is a demonstration, and I think it serves the purpose of showing you guys what we can do. Okay, so we're going to perform a Websphere binary install. We're going to create a new target development broker environment within RapidDeploy. Then we're going to create a deployment package which contains all the configuration and the bar files, and we're going to deploy that to a new target. After we've done that, we will snapshot that environment. I'm then going to update the configuration, extract some of the environment-specific values, okay, and then we're going to clone that development environment to create a QA environment. After we've done that, we'll create a new deployment package, which now will contain the bar files and the configuration for both your development and QA environment, and then we'll deploy that firstly to back into the development environment. When I've done that, we'll take another snapshot, we'll deploy that into QA, and then we'll compare the two snapshots that we've got of the development environment. Okay. So I'm going to take control now. So just bear with us a second. Okay, hopefully everybody can see my screen now. Right, so I'm going to log into RapidDeploy now, which, as I said, is running on a Windows machine. So let me just log in here. Okay, so what you'll see here is the landing page within RapidDeploy. So this is like the home page where you see things like today's job reports or all job reports. We've got things in there that show your tasks, if any tasks have been assigned to you. I'm not going to dive into all of these things because this is limited in terms of the time we've got today. Then we can see your deployment plans. This is effectively where you group up jobs and save them as one deployment. So you might have 8 different target development message brokers and you want to group those all together. Okay, so we're going to resources projects. What we've got here are 2 projects, as I said, I've created. A binary install project and a WMB create and deploy project. The binary install project that I've created already has an associated package with that, which I'm going to be using to do a deployment to the Linux environment. Let's just have a quick look in here. Okay, so this is just the general tab within a project. Just gives you a little bit of information about that, the description, the name of the project, who owns the project, where the property files are. You'll see here it's got an orchestration file name of MidVision deploy orchestration.xml. So every project has an orchestration file with it, and that is a list of tasks that are associated with the deployment for this project. So let's just click on orchestration here. So we've got 3 tasks here: binary install task, a binary init task, a WMB binary install task, and a binary finalization task. Okay, the init task and the finalization task, RapidDeploy will copy the package across to the target. Binary init will explode that package on the target. The finalization task will clear it up after the deployment is complete. So now we've got the main task in here, with the WMB binary install task, which does the guts of the install, does all of the install in fact. Okay, And you can see some resources that you can set on the right-hand side there. Now, within the binary install task, you've got the ability to check users and groups exist, and a variety of other options in there. Okay, so now we've got the SCM repository tab. We're using file system here, but we could be selecting a plugin. I haven't got them installed on here to use ClearCase or RTC or SVN, but here we've got the project root directory. If we take a look at the artifact repository tab, then this is specifying within our project where our build packages are stored. Okay, and again, there is stored on the file system in a build store directory that I've created, and it's going to be a package name of the string that I've highlighted there. Then we've got a build tab associated with the project, and this is where you may well have a project that you decide to link in with a Jenkins plugin or Hudson or Cruise Controls, something along those lines. Now, for the purpose of the binary install project, I'm not going to be doing that, and I won't be doing that for the create and deploy, but it is a very powerful thing that a lot of our customers do hook into. So then we've got the product tab with the project. This is essentially telling the project where the configuration files are. Okay, and then we've got a groups tab, so you can set up users and groups, as I said earlier, within RapidDeploy and associate certain groups to certain projects. So only certain people are allowed to do various actions on a particular project. So let's have a look at the target Linux box. Okay, so we've got no queue managers installed on there at the moment. I'm in the opt IBM MQSI password. We've got Message Broker version 7 installed on there, but we're not using that. We're going to be installing Message Broker version 8 today. So we're going to Jobs, New Jobs. And this is a project that I've pre-configured, okay? We'll select the binary install project, and I've got some environment installations that I've already set up here. I'm going to select the install. On this particular screen, I've got my package selected already. I'm just going to click on Skip to Finish and go right to the confirmation tab. Okay, I'll briefly mention the other stuff later on the other project. Okay, so now we can see that the job is actually executing. Okay, if I click on the magnifying glass, we can see here the 3 tasks that were seen within the orchestration. So we can actually check on the progress, see which task is currently running. Okay, so that's the binary install task kicked off. What it's doing at the moment is copying everything it needs from where RapidDeploy is running over to the target. One of the things it's copying over as well is obviously the build package. Okay. Now this is the build package that I created before, and is being copied over. So if I go to the root of this build package, we've got a Linux directory. So when RapidDeploy copies the package over to a target, it detects what operating system it's running on, and in my case it's Linux. So it's going to look within the Linux directory, and if we go into there, you'll see that there's an install list file in there. This is essentially what the task is going to kick off. Okay, so let's have a quick look. Right, so this is kicking off a setup Linux IA32 and passing in a response file, which is all part of this package. Okay. Now it's also set to install this silently, obviously. So if we change into there within the package, we've got the binaries, and these are the binaries just as you download them from Passport Advantage or wherever you get hold of your binaries from. Okay, so that's just packed up. Now that is in a format that RapidDeploy understands and the Message Broker task understands. Okay. Right, what I'm going to do, so at the moment you can see there that the package is being exploded on the target. I'm going to move this demo forward a little bit because there's a lot more to show you, and you know, I don't just want to be tailing a log here. So I'm going to move Okay, so at this point here, you can see that the binary install task is now finished. The project is completed. So if we log on to the Linux box, we can see now that Message Broker 8 is installed on this target. And if we do an MQSI list, we can see that we've got no message brokers defined here. Okay. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to have a look at the project that I created. Now, this is for the WMB Create and Deploy project. Now, this is just a shell. Okay. All I've done is create the project. There's no configuration for any targets within this project yet, and I'll show you that in a minute. So again, it's got a deploy orchestration task. Okay, now there's nothing in there. Now, if you have a look on the left-hand side, you can see that there's a number of available tasks there, and this is one thing I mentioned earlier, is all plugins come with a set of predefined tasks. You can see on the left-hand side we've got a variety of different tasks there. There's only the initialization and finalization task currently configured for this project. So if we were to run this project with a package at the moment, all it's going to do is copy it across to the target, explode the package, and then delete it, and effectively do nothing on that target. So there's lots of tasks that come out of the box with RapidDeploy that you can use within your orchestration. Okay, so now I'm having a look actually at the project on the file system to see what's there. Okay, now here's the config directory which would hold all the configuration for every single one of your environments. There's nothing there at the moment. And if we look at the topology directory, again there's nothing in there as well. This would effectively show me all your execution groups within your topology, and that would be a directory represents an execution group. So now we're going to go into Configuration Edit Promote and select this project, WMB Create and Deploy project. I'm going to click on Create New Environment. You can see there that on the right, just to the right of New Environment, there's a Create Template from Snapshot Wizard. That's not something I'm going to be showing you today, but effectively within RapidDeploy, you can take a snapshot of an existing broker and then use that snapshot to create your configuration. Okay, so I've clicked on New Environment. I'm going to enter in my server name now, Linux VM, and I'm going to enter in an environment name. And I'm going to call this the same name as my broker, which is broker dev01, and I'm going to call the instance broker dev01 as well. And the application name, I've got some bar files that are associated with a dummy airline application, so we'll put in that airline. Okay, we'll click on the Settings tab, and now we'll select our template, which is going to be Websphere WMB Create Configure Deploy template. So there's many other templates that you can see that we've got there, a lot of Websphere ones, even some script ones. Okay, so this is the template, this is the wizard for creating your message broker. So we'll put in the message broker name and the queue manager name. I'm going to keep localhost as localhost, because what we're actually doing is we're actually going across to the target and doing the deployment on the target. So I can leave it as localhost. I could put in the DNS name there, but this is just a VM running on my machine, so I'm just going to leave it as localhost. We'll put in the port number of 1414. We're happy with version 8, so that's where we're deploying to, and that's my binary install location. Okay, so I'm going to create some execution groups as well. I'll create 2 execution groups. You can see that the execution groups have got a deploy mode as well, okay? And so effectively you can have different deploy modes at each execution group. So I mentioned earlier we've got a recreate, an append, and a clear down set of deployment modes. So here's my 2 execution groups that I'm creating. I'm going to leave those as default, which essentially means take on the parent deployment mode, and you'll see that in just one second. So if I select my deployment settings here, I've got a deployment mode, a set of recreate. So what this means is it's going to, every time it's going to delete my execution groups and recreate them. effectively, by doing that, you know what's in that execution group every time you deploy to it. There's nothing left over. We've got users that obviously do run in pen mode, and we've also got a clear down option so that you leave your execution group there if you've got some properties that you need to keep on that execution group. Okay, I'm not going to do any bar overrides at this stage. You've got the ability here to put in your HTTP properties and your configurable services. And now we can also see that the create message broker settings, all the standard stuff in here, if you want to set up that. But I'm just going to leave that as default, okay? Then we've got this additional option at the bottom, the orchestration details. Now, as I showed you earlier on the project itself, there was only 2 tasks in the orchestration file, or initialization and finalization. So this is my first environment, so I want to say, let's make this create and deploy to the message broker. And I'm going to create and start the message broker and listener, okay? So it's going to create a queue manager, it's going to create a listener, and it's going to start that queue manager and that message broker as well. And my working directory that I've got set up on my particular target is called Scratch Working Builds. Okay, so I'll create this. Okay, so that's my new environment created now. Now what I need to do is I haven't actually added any bar files in here yet, but here you can see is we've got some configuration files here. This is a dictionary file. Within this dictionary file we've got some values that are specific or potentially specific for this particular target environment. Okay, so we've got the queue manager name, the port name, we've even got the binary install location. Okay, things like that. So you can see there's a whole list of search and replace tokens that have been extracted here or created as part of this new environment. Then underneath the topology, you can actually see under here we've got some directories which represent the execution groups, and in there it's just created some template placeholder bar files. Okay. Then we've got a WMB default bar store. We're not using the default bar store today, and I'm not going to sort of dive into that. We're just going to be using the main execution group directories. Okay, so now within the tool I'm going to show you how you can add bar files into those directories. So we're going to go into the configuration for the project and edit this project. We're going to go into resources and files. We're going to expand the project structure and drill down in the topology and select the directory where we want to place the bar file. Now that directory, as I said before, represents an execution group. So I've got on my file system here, I've got some pre-created bar files. We'll select those. So we go. We'll select the crates.bar. We'll upload that, and then if we look back in the structure here, if I select the right one, here we can see that we've got a creates.bar. Okay. Now I could obviously follow the same process and do that for airline query, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly do this now, or I did do this before. I'm going to go onto the file system and copy in the bar files. Okay, so if I select the bars here, I'm going to take these and an associated override file. Okay, and I'm going to plonk these into the directory. Okay, let's get rid of that placeholder bar file. Okay, and we'll go and take the other bar files as well for query and its corresponding override file. And we'll delete the template bar placeholder file. Okay, so now we've got configuration in here for an environment, and we've got our bar files in there as well with our override file, and that was named incorrectly, so I'll change the name. The override file has to be named the same as the bar file for it to be picked up, and that's just a standard override file. Okay, so we've got the configuration and the bar files in there, so now I'm going to use RapidDeploy itself to create a package, okay, which we'll deploy out to a target. Now this, potentially what I've done there is something that you may well have on your project, on your project build tab. So you've got a process already to which actually creates your bar files, compiles your bar files. You could extend that to pop them into this directory, and then call an API to create a package in this fashion. Okay. So we've created a package. Now that I've created a package, we can deploy this out to our target environment. So I'll go into Jobs, New Jobs, select my Create and Deploy, and now I'll see in here my new environment. I'm going to click on the application airline. I'm going to select Next. It's already selected the version of the package here. There's only one. I'll click on Next here so that you can see the next screen, the Batch Settings tab. So if I was deploying to multiple targets, or in fact there was multiple projects, what you can do is batch those up to say, well, I've got 4 targets here. I want to deploy to target 1 before I deploy to target 2, and so on and so forth. Now we've got a deployment specification, so at this level you can actually schedule your deployments. If you want a deployment to kick off at 12 o'clock at night, you can do that here, and you can repeat them if you want to do so. I'll skip over the next tab and go straight to the confirmation screen, and then we'll click on Execute and go for it. Okay, so we've fired off the deployment. Now you can see we've got some tasks showing there, the initialization, create and start broker, and the WMB deploy task. They weren't in the orchestration to start with. Move that window right in the way. Okay. So if we get rid of that. So we can see the initialization task has now happened. Now we've moved on to the create and start broker. So all those tasks have been added as part of creating that first environment. Now that is something that you do just for that first environment, not for subsequent environments. And of course you can add various tasks into that orchestration. If you've got ODBC files that you want to copy over, you can do it as part of the orchestration. If you've got some DB2 client stuff that you want to do there, if you've got some LIL files that you want to package up, it can all be done as part of the same orchestration. Okay, so we go onto the Linux box and do a DSPM queue. We can see that the queue manager is created. Okay, and now it's doing a deployment of the bar files. So back onto the Linux box. If we do an MQSI list now, we should see that the message broker exists. So we've got our BRK Dev 01 broker, and then we'll just have a look at the listener. Okay, so we can see spreading across there. So we can see it's also got a listener that's been created as well for the queue manager, and that's running on 14.14 as we configured it. Right. Okay, so it's going through the deployment task at the moment. We've got this in debug mode, so you can see a lot of information in here. There's one of the examples of it overriding one of the properties. And again, we'll see a little bit more of this later on when we do a snapshot as well. Okay, so that's the deployment finished. So we saw that it created the message broker, the queue manager. What I'm going to do now is take a snapshot of this environment. So I'm going to click on snapshot here. What that's doing is it's going across to the broker, and it's pulling back all the information that it can possibly pull back for that broker. All the HTTP properties, configurable services, all the execution groups exist, the properties around those execution groups, bar files, message flows, message sets that are deployed. Okay. Right, now I'm going to go into the override file, and I'm going to tokenize this override file because this information here is going to be different in every environment, okay? Or I want it to be different in every environment. So I'm going to change the commit count and give it a variable of com count. Okay. I'm going to go into the other override file. And again, I'm going to tokenize this, as this is something, again, that's going to potentially be different in every environment. So that's additional instances. So what I do then is I'm going to go and edit the dictionary file that's associated with this target and add in those tokens. So when I deploy to this target, it's going to use these tokens. So through the tool, I've gone into edit the data dictionary. I'm now going to set this value to 5, so additional instances for this particular flow is going to be 5. And the other one was com count, commit count, so I'm going to add this new property as well. We'll make that 20, we'll save that, and we'll save our changes. Okay, now before I create a package, I also want to show you how you clone an environment within RapidDeploy, and really how quick and simple it is to clone an environment, a logical environment. So we just click on that right button there, clone logical environment, and I'm going to create a QA broker now. So we'll change dev to QA. We'll change the instance here to QA. We'll click on next. I want this environment to stay within the current project. And I'm going to go through here and just change the stuff that I need to change, the stuff that's different for this particular target. Now, one of the things that I'm going to change in here, I'm going to leave the deploy mode as recreate. I'm happy with all the binary install locations. I'm going to change the name of the queue manager here to be QA. I'm going to change the port name. Obviously, they're running on the same target machine, so I need to give that a different port. Additional instances, we'll change that as well. So we'll say we want 10 in our QA environment, and the commit count, we'll change that to 25, and then we'll click on create this environment. Okay, so one of the things that I missed there was I didn't change the actual broker name itself within that configuration. So let me just go back in and change that. Okay, so we'll change this now to QA. And we'll click on save. So now I've got configuration for 2 different environments. Okay, I'm going to package that up so it all becomes part of one package. So we'll now have a deployment package that contains your bar files, which are environment agnostic, and the configuration associated with each target environment, and that's contained within one package. Okay, so we'll add package wizard. Automatically becomes 002. Skip to finished and click on next and create this deployment package. Okay, so we've got our new deployment package there. What we'll do now is go into jobs, new jobs, and we'll deploy that out to the development broker again. So we'll select the airline application, we'll click on next. 002 is already pre-selected for us. We'll skip to finish, go straight to the confirmation screen and execute the request. Okay. Now, I did mention it earlier, this is a create and deploy project. Generally, create is a one-off, right? You don't normally go around recreating your brokers all the time. it's the deploys that happen fairly frequently. So you wouldn't generally have a create and deploy in one project. Okay, but for the purpose of this demo, it's absolutely fine. And the actual task is configured so that if the broker exists, it carries on going. Okay, so we're doing the deployment now to this particular message broker. And as I said, there's going to be many tasks that you would probably add to this orchestration to make it real. Okay, there's bound to be some queues that are associated with the flows. You could make that a task within this particular project to create those queues on the target as well. Okay, so we can again see this one, yes, as I said earlier, it's deploying in a recreate mode. So it's deleting the execution groups before recreating them and redeploying to them. And as I mentioned, this always means that you've got a clean execution group and you know exactly what's in it as you deploy out through your route to live. Okay, so when this is finished, what we're going to do is we're going to snapshot this environment so that we can do a comparison between the snapshot that we took earlier. Okay, but so let's go into the development broker here, and let's just take a snapshot of that environment. Okay. And if we go into jobs, executing jobs, we can see that snapshot is taking place. And as I said, that's gone over to the target, and it's pulling back all the information about that broker, all HTTP properties, configurable services, execution groups, flows, sets deployed. You can even configure it to go down and pull back all the information about every specific node that's in a particular flow. Okay, so before I compare the snapshots, I'm just going to kick off the deployment to the QA environment as well. Okay. So we'll go into jobs, new job. See that snapshot's now finished. I'm going to select the create and deploy. And we're going to select the QA broker as the target and the airline application again. We'll skip to finish and execute that. Okay, so that's off and running. Right. Now we're going to use the tool, so we're going to go into configuration comparison to compare the two snapshots. So what you can see here is we've got 4 snapshot files. Every time you do a snapshot, it creates 2 files. I did briefly mention it earlier. You've got the ability to create a new environment, which is what I've done in the demo today. You've also got the ability to create an environment from a snapshot. Okay. So you're effectively creating a template based on a snapshot. So that's why there's 2 different files here. We're not going to be using the template ones today. We're going to be using the full snapshot of the broker itself. So select one on the right-hand side, one on the left-hand side. The latest one on the right-hand side and the previous one on the left-hand side. I'm going to enter in the number 5 in the box at the top here, which effectively means show me 5 lines before and 5 lines after any differences. And then I click on the compare. So we can see the differences here. Effectively, the ones that we can see at the top are different timestamps, but if we scroll a little bit further down, we can see that we've now got different overrides that have been set for this particular bar file. So we've got now a new value of 10 for additional instances. It was 1, and for commit counts we've now got 20 instead of 5, which is what we configured for the development environment. Okay. So, what we'll do now is we'll just have a quick look at the target VM, do a DSPM queue. We've got the QA queue manager that's been created. We've also now got the QA message broker that's been created on that target. If we do an MQSI list against that QA broker, you can see there's two execution groups, the airline create and the airline query, and then we'll just have a quick look in one of those execution groups, and we'll see that there's the message flows that are deployed to that execution group. Okay, so that concludes the demo for today. I need to hand back to you.
Yeah, so if you could just summarise what we've seen, that would be great.
Okay. So what we've just seen then is we've done, and if you think about it, we've actually done quite a lot within the 25, well, probably 30 minutes of demo that we've done here. We've installed the binaries onto a target Linux box. We've created the configuration for 2 different targets on that box, and we've deployed to those targets and done a snapshot of one of those targets as well and compared the differences between those. So, you know, what we've actually got there is we've already got a repeatable process that we can perform time and time again, deploying into that environment and creating that broker. Okay.
Okay, great. Thanks, Andy. So in terms of next steps, what a lot of people like to do is run a trial in their own environment. The development team a couple of years ago built a hypersonic database, integrated this hypersonic database into RapidDeploy for trial purposes, which means the system is, you can download RapidDeploy wherever you are in the world and run your POC to your targets in your own environment. For some reason I'm not showing the screen that I should be showing you. Sorry about that. There we go. So if you would like a free trial, if you just take a note of my email address there, drop me a line and we'll send you over some license keys and a link to where you can get the trial itself. And then what we normally do is, there's a lot of documentation online anyway, but what we often do with customers is support them via WebEx as they go through their proof of concepts. So thank you very much for joining today. Let me know if you'd like a trial.